enough about us. What will you get out of today's event? We hope that you will be able to separate the buzz from the relevance. There's so much buzz going on about in this topic. We're going to try to get practical and talk about the applications of machine learning. So where could this fit into your business? What are other people using this for? And then hopefully get started on a practical approach, a practical process. So there's so much buzz, but what's really causing this buzz and what's driving the interest in this field? A few drivers that we think are essential. I'm just going to put this down. So one of the key drivers is really that it's probably not so much a technological breakthrough as it is the fact that we have these big macro trends for the last decades or so, and we have some infrastructure, and all this is really coming together to form a foundation to help us leverage machine learning. So the timing is really key in this. So it's quite an old notion. Machine learning goes back as far as the 1950s, but the reason that it's really flourishing now is, and we're bearing fruit, is because of a lot of other technologies. Intel's microprocessor, etc. Another thing is the fact that everything is becoming connected. So the fleet is becoming connected, your inventory is becoming connected, shop shelves and retail are becoming connected. And this is an example from a collaboration between Maersk and AT&T, where they connected about 250,000 refrigerated containers and spent the last, I think, 2 years on doing this similar with the dry bulk. So containers are now hooked up with the SIM card, GPS, and other things. So basically, we're connecting more and more part of the infrastructure of the business. And this gives access to vast amounts of data, which is another really important aspect of machine learning. We need data to work with. So we are increasingly gathering data. So the question you need to ask yourself is, are the critical aspects of your business connected? Because if not, then it's going to be quite a different point of departure in working with machine learning. And then, of course, the increasing affordability and the computational capacity. I think it says, and you're a little critical about this, Casper, but this is from Google Cloud's pricing site. It says $0.32 for basically training your model for an hour. So in comparison to a classic human statistician, that's probably quite a different hourly wage. So basically, it's becoming so much more cheaper to work with machine learning. And with these services, we have a completely different point of departure. And then the computational capacity, of course, this is accelerating at an extremely fast pace to the extent that we have far more capacity than what we actually need to do these simple calculations on stuff like what we need today. So we actually have a lot more capacity than we need. So these are like the key drivers for us. As we see it, there are a lot of other things, but these are the key drivers. So how can you use this in your business? This is we have a room full of people from transport and logistics. And there are probably a lot of other things here, but here are just some of the things that we are working with some of our clients about. Forecasting demand, of course, is one of the most critical things when working with logistics. You want to know how much inventory you need at a given time and place. Reduce freight cost. If you're a big tanker or you operate ships, then reducing that cost center, which is fuel, is critical, can really give you a competitive advantage. Can you think about sailing different transport routes that are better suited for the current currents as a strømne? So machine learning can help you to reduce freight cost, which is really critical in low margin business. Risk reduction in general. Can you foresee things that will help you be able to run your business? And then supply chain efficiency, of course, control and surveillance. I think, who was it, Maersk, DHL and IBM had a collaboration where they looked at packages where they could identify broken packages and propose mitigating actions for the people on site. So we're using machine learning in different ways already, and there are a lot of perspective in this. Inventory management is super interesting when you begin to connect things at the first line. So when you think of shop shelves, you're connecting the store, you can get real-time data to manage your inventory. That's really interesting. Predictive maintenance. Can you foresee things like, for instance, a car that should be fixed, and then save that downtime so you don't have a man on the road that is broken down? Can you do proactive maintenance? So you do two things at the same time. You do some maintenance on more things than you would have done. When we do this, we might as well do this. Fleet optimization, autonomization. We heard a lot about Volvo trucks and all this fancy stuff. It's super interesting, but it's hard to tell how close we are to that future. But at a very concrete level, for instance, we work we've made a prototype for Taxa 4x35 about how to position your fleet at a given moment based on data sets from weather and events and purchase history. So there's really the future's not that far away. You can start working with this right now. Churn prediction, something we work with. We made a prototype for Alka. We've made this app, Tanker Chain. I don't know if you know it, but it's an app you can be rewarded for fuel. So we had a lot of data about the driving patterns and the fuel patterns. Now this could be used to predict churn. So if you weren't using this, you were more likely to churn. So we started identifying customers that could churn and be able to present actions. Automating customer service. We've seen the first line of chatbots, which were so-and-so. I think we've all went to IKEA or someone else and were a little frustrated that we didn't just get a real customer service. But when you add machine learning to chatbots and automated customer service, new things are really starting to happen. So that's really interesting. That's it for me. Yeah.
Are you also working with visualizing all the insights you're finding? There is like a fun tool I just discovered, which are called the Kepler GL. It's I think it was used at Uber, but it's just a fun way to like visualize patterns, because not a lot of like top management people understand all this, and they get like a bit like, what are you talking about?
So we have some visualizations of, for instance, the fleet optimizations. It's basically a heat map, if that's what you're thinking about.
No, this is like it's good,
that's
but
one
it's
way.
like an open source tool you can use. It's fun.
Okay, I haven't seen it. I think you should direct the question to Kasper later on. So basically, it's going to be a super exciting morning and day. I hope you will participate as much as you can. We're very interested in hearing about your experiences as well. With that being said, I'd like to welcome Kasper Rasmussen from CTO and Christian from Northbridge to enlighten us on cutting-edge machine learning.